Well, cheers, everybody. Welcome to episode 242 of the Michigan Bros Grow Show. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Cinco de Mayo. It's another reason party. Let's do it.
Yeah. Tacos.
Tacos and dabs.
Oh, I had the best refried beans tonight. Oh, the best refried.
Really?
Beans. Oh, I have to shout out this place where Troy lives in Defiance. It's called I don't give a shit. What's it matter at this point? It's Ohio, we're legal. So La Jolly Science has the best Mexican food in this town. And it's hands down, I've never had refried beans melt in my mouth like this, like butter. So good. Oh, so I literally go there just because of the beans.
Really? Well, I mean, I was going to ask, I guess melting like butter is one of the things, but I was going to ask what makes good refried beans because they kind of all seem like the same to me.
And I even asked like the waiters on the down low, I'm like, come on, just tell me what they put in the beans, please. Please just tell me what they put in the beans. I did finally learn their trick on their aqua frescas. So they have these, they call them Mexican waters. And it's kind of like American Kool-Aid, but not like artificial sugar or anything like that. It's so wonderful and bright and fresh.
They put fresh fruit in there too to make it look cool.
But it's like a drink mix. It's called Class, and I know I'm probably not saying it the right way in Mexican, but that's the way I say it.
Like the Kool-Aid.
But it's like it comes in a bag. You can get it at the store. I've seen it at Walmart, but they don't have like the kinds that they have an actual grocery store here too. So they don't have like the pineapple, the strawberry. I've seen the horchata at Walmart, and that kind's yucky, at least to me. I like the fresh fruit one. But it's so good. So we got to enjoy some great, authentic Mexican food today.
That's awesome.
I'm glad I ate already because otherwise I'd be wanting to talk munchies the rest of the show.
Yeah,
my son started it. He made this cabbage and meat and then chicken noodle soup today. And I was just like, I'm so hungry right now, son. What are you doing to me? He's so good, though, about getting his cooking done.
I swung through I was out in Lansing with Baked, and we were at the fish stores.
Of course.
But we stopped. Yeah. We wanted to stop at, what was it? Rallies, I think. I haven't been in a Rallies forever.
I hadn't been in one in a while either.
So he got his fries, and I got some fries. And then they had this thing called Buford's Bites, was what it was called.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a fucking empanada, but there was like hamburger and cheese on the inside.
Was it like a mini one?
A little small. Okay. You got like 5 or 6 of those. So for like $2.99. Right. So I tried them, but they weren't that great. I didn't think they're that good.
I think they clicked the wrong button.
Yeah. They're like, you're gonna go get some now.
Grateful says rally fries are unique. What he didn't say why, but you tell me what makes them unique.
I don't know. They put shit on the outside. It's not just like it's not just a straight fry. Like they put breading or some shit on the outside.
Oh, it's like the not gluten-free fries, where it's like a real thick, crispy breading.
No, it's like, I don't know. You'd have to probably pull up a picture online or something. But they claim on their rallies that they have the best fry guarantee, which I don't agree. I don't think they're that good. The fries
got better fries.
Oh man, let me see. Steak and Shake's got better fries. The DQ down the street from me's got better fries. The place Rudy's, where I get my olive burgers, they have better fucking fries. They got the 3/4 inch crinkle cut. What you know about the 3/4 inch crinkle cut?
Oh, you're one of those olive burger people.
I am I'm Spartan grown. What do you mean?
Fergoli, tell me you won't eat an olive burger.
Hell no, nothing olive.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
I'm not Italian enough.
You don't know what's good for you. What do you mean? You don't like olive oil? Come on, Fergoli. You don't use olive oil. You tell me
olive oil.
Okay, all right.
I think that might be the only olive product, though.
I even get a problem with olive oil. Being Greek and all, I am not about olives. Hi.
I'll eat olive oil and bread like they do over there, all fancy with their biscottis or whatever.
Oh yeah, put some pepper and parmesan in that
Oh, that's good
dip there.
shit.
Nom, nom,
Fire.
nom, 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 nom.
I don't like
Yeah.
it soaked. I just like a tinsy, just a little sprinkle of it.
On your
maybe.
baguette. On your baguette.
Give me an olive burger. I'll eat that all day long.
Sick. Get out of here.
All day long.
What is an olive burger? I don't even
It's a hamburger. It's a hamburger, and then for topping, you just take some sliced green olives, and you
I feel
mix
like
it with mayonnaise, and then throw that on top. It's so good.
I feel like it's the northern Michigan thing too. When we lived up north in
There
Michigan, it
was
seemed like
every place
all of
in
them had.
Michigan.
I
with,
feel like it was.
literally, I had never heard of an olive burger until I got to
See?
Michigan. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
See, people think I make shit up, and I'm telling you, it's a thing.
But we have a burger at work right now, and it's a bullseye burger, and you can get it comes with like barbecue sauce and buffalo sauce and olives, and I'm like, gagging
Jesus.
every time I got to do all this.
See, I don't like buffalo sauce, so I'd be like, you can keep that buffalo sauce past those
Oh,
olives.
burn your
Though.
damn nostrils.
I would eat those olives just plain, man. I just
Speaking of sauce and burning, I dropped a thing of Buffalo Wild Wings Asian Zing sauce out of my fridge while trying to get sour cream out for my tacos this evening, and the glass fell, and the glass didn't shatter, but the cap did, and I looked down as it was falling, and a little droplet of sauce just shot directly from that cap into my left eyeball. And that you thought that Carolina Reaper cheese was hot. This
Oh my
Asian
God,
zing to the eyeball was not fun, man. I'll tell you what.
Hell yeah! Listen to chat. Shout out chat. They have my back on the olive burgers. See, you guys don't know.
I like an olive burger. It's
Yeah, see, there you go. That's what's up. Olive burgers are good
He
as
said
fuck.
it sounds fire.
It's because they are. It's because they are fire.
green or black olives. I don't care which.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I cannot
Aren't green ones super
Probably
salty?
green is probably better.
Green is better.
Green's
off
probably the way
olive.
to
so
go, yeah.
salty. Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
hate
so nasty.
salt. I hate salt, so that's probably
What are you talking about? So you just eat French fries with no salt on them? Is that what you're telling me?
I like salt on my fries, but I don't.
Oh, okay. So you do like salt.
I don't like it disgusting, like baked on. I just like it, a little
What
coating.
olives are you getting? You getting your olives and like dipping them in seawater? What are you talking about? These
That's
are
what it
just
tastes like.
regular
Green olives are like they were
So-
born
What
from
are you talking
seawater.
about? You guys are. We have different taste buds. It's obvious.
Yes, 100%.
Maybe Tara and I are just sensitive to salt because I agree. My dad used to add salt to scrambled eggs, and it
I
just
add
doesn't
salt to the
need it.
fries that they give me at the fucking drive-thru. I'm like, we need more
Doesn't need
salt.
I have never added salt to any
I'll-
fries ever. That
I usually
got,
taste
ever.
them first, but
He does. I
I
don't.
usually add more. Depends on
Yeah,
I will cook with salt, but like within reason. I do a teaspoon kind of thing at a time, and I almost have this kind of like, if you want your food salted, then you need to salt it, but I'm gonna do it within reason to be okay. So if you want it,
I don't
Salt
use it,
it.
and I don't use a lot.
well,
Of
that's fair.
no, you don't, but you do more than I do.
My old man is going through some heart issues, and he's currently on a low sodium diet, and so he's like, doing his grocery shopping, looking at everything from, I don't know, like literally waters to like tortillas. You know what I mean? And he's just like, it's nearly impossible to find like low sodium of everything. Most stuff has a lot of
Make your
sodium
own
in it.
tortillas. That's not a lot of ingredients. You can do that.
Yeah, and he's definitely capable of that. He was one of his first jobs was a line chef or whatever. So like
Yeah,
he's all about yeah.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Hey, this is cool. I fucking love Genetic Memory Farms, man. He's got all the facts, man. I don't know, even if he's just googling it, it's so cool. But he goes, the QP Inn in Michigan was the home of the olive burger, correct? But he goes on to say mayo and brine, so they must blend some of the brine from the olives into the mayo.
Yep.
And green olives into a sauce for the burger, no cheese. Exactly. That's a badass olive burger. That's what that is.
Oh, killing me.
I have a hard time adding mayo to anything too. So
I
those
do
two
too.
together
Oh
is
my
just,
gosh, I am like,
What's so hard? It's the consistency is just right. It doesn't slop around. You just
Oh my
get it on. It's pretty easy, actually.
you literally just
People
described what
like,
it is. It
cup of mayo.
slops
I'm
around.
like, no,
It's
no,
just
I'm not
fat,
getting a cup
man.
of mayo. I will not
It's
do
just
it.
beautiful, delicious fat. That's all
No,
it is.
exactly. It's so disgusting. Your heart hates
So-
you right now. Shut
Yeah,
up.
I'm
Your whole
thinking
brain
this
is made out of
sodium
fat.
diet.
Your brain is crying right now. It's like, give me some fat. Give me some fat.
So Kraft mayonnaise or Miracle Whip? Which one's better, mayonnaise or Miracle Whip?
No, I
Oh,
want
don't even
mayonnaise.
Start with his
I want
Miracle Whip
mayonnaise. Don't give me that
bullshit.
sweetie. That fucking
Yeah, I
Miracle
will
Whip
sit
is
here and defend
sweet.
mayonnaise if we're gonna talk Miracle Whip.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
told you.
Mayonnaise. I want Hellman's.
Sandwich, yeah.
If I can find Hellman's mayonnaise, that's the
Yeah.
one I'd
But
choose.
it's like,
Okay, we're all on the same
Do
Like,
you
page.
get it in the
I'll-
jar and spread it with a knife, or do you get the squirt bottle?
I only
Ooh,
use
squirt bottle because I'm lazy, but I'll do the knife. I've done that many times.
Dude, same
bacon,
with
lettuce,
sour
and
cream.
tomatoes. The only thing that gets mayo for me.
What is?
Bacon, lettuce, and tomato. That's the only thing you'll see me put a swipe of
Really?
mayo on.
What
Yeah.
I don't
about
even eat that.
so when you make like you use like mayo in so many different like
Yeah,
tuna
true.
fish.
Yeah, macaroni
Or-
salad.
Tuna salad.
I think I'm more
tuna-
talking about maybe like a sandwich kind of thing. I don't like it all.
So you can eat it in other stuff and it's completely fine, but all of a sudden it's
When I
magically
make
not
tuna,
fine.
though, when I make
And it's
a
not
tuna
mixed in
sandwich,
for you.
I
Yeah,
use
that's how I am with
significant
tomatoes.
spicy mustard though.
Oh, so you use
So,
mayo still.
but I do use some mayo, but just a teensy amount, and then a lot of mustard. I love mustard.
That's weird to me. It's
What
weird to
about
me that
this?
it's the same thing, but you have an issue with it one way.
Yeah, it's kind of. I
What
know.
about a cold turkey sandwich? Or something? Or like
Just a little bit, but I don't even like turkey like that.
Or
Ugh,
okay,
it's
ham
slimy.
and ham.
Yeah.
But, what
Oh
about
my god, that's
um,
what you have to have. How can you not have a turkey sandwich
It's-
right after Thanksgiving, like the day after
Okay, that's
Thanksgiving?
different. That's
How
a
can you
different.
not have a turkey
He's
sandwich with
fucking-
mayonnaise
is
on
that
it?
not great?
But
no,
going on there?
It's sacrilege if you don't have a turkey
Like,
sandwich with
spicy.
fucking
Well, we can
mayonnaise.
change it up.
What?
But if we're talking about a turkey sandwich from Thanksgiving, now you got
Oh yeah. I'll
Oh,
take a slice of
very
that. I'll take a slice of that fake cranberry sauce that comes
That's
in
what I
a
was
can.
just saying. Put a little slice
Put
of
that on top. Oh, make a sandwich. Oh
dressing. Yeah,
god,
a little mustard too.
you guys
When's
are killing me.
Thanksgiving again? Well, how
Okay,
how
so
long
we're
is it?
a new food show. We're not even about cannabis. We're talking food now.
But I'm putting fucking mayonnaise on that sandwich. Yes.
Toast the bread too.
So Spartan, how
Yes.
was your latest trip that you were on?
Berlin. It was pretty cool. It wasn't as cool as Barcelona just because we were staying at the place where the event was, and there's restaurants there, so there wasn't a whole lot of reason to leave. So we didn't get a lot of chance to get around. So I didn't get to see much of the city, just driving around back and forth to two places. But I did see that they do like to tag up the place, man. The place is all tagged the fuck up. It's like a religion out there or something because every fucking section has got some kind of tag somewhere. So my props to them on that. It was kind of cool to see. But it was cool. It was a cool event. You know, it was running into about 50% of the people that I saw in Barcelona, I saw in Berlin. So it was cool to kind of see some same faces and people, you know, recognizing you and
That's cool.
recognizing people when you're on the airplane is kind of cool. So that was kind of a cool little thing. This place was all kind of inside, and we kind of rolled and found. When I say we, the GML team, we kind of rolled and found this little area that was like one flight of stairs up from the main lobby where everybody was hanging out usually. And like nobody was hanging out up there. So that was like our spot. We were fucking smoking down right there and everything. We didn't give a fuck. And because Marcus Bubbleman he had a Carta little thing and some dabs. So man, we were just dabbing out and it was our own little private sesh spot. So we had a place to smoke. We had dabs. We had edibles because GML had a hookup there. So the local guy who had some fucking strong ass edibles. Oh my god, I greened the fuck out on that.
Oh shit.
Like I ate like one. It was one of those stupid things. Like you think I'd learn by now. So I ate one square, and it was supposed to be 200 milligrams. And it's like it tasted like it was 200 milligrams. That's for sure. And but I like waited an hour, and I didn't feel a damn thing. I was like I'm just gonna eat two more of these and then go to bed. You know.
Oh shit.
Oh, so we ended up. I didn't go to bed. You know, it's like an hour of saying goodbye to everybody. You know, because everybody's got a story or whatever, and it's just interesting to hear stories. And the next thing you know, you feel it start hitting in. You're like, oh shit, I'm going to bed for real now, guys. Then I'm up just trying to like not let the room spin, you know, for a while. So Yeah, that was a 600 milligram night.
Jeez, dude.
So that night was, but yeah, I didn't do that again. But that was about the worst part of the trip. So the rest of it was up pretty good.
That's
So
good.
Fred and Becca and Ruben getting big as fuck.
Cheers, guys.
He's
Darn
so
off.
big.
He's so
No.
big.
For girl, I got to see him today.
He's 60 pounds.
Yeah,
Look
I
at
got to I
Okay.
got to watch him hunt the chickens over and
Oh.
over again, and they're not kidding. He does this over and over again. It's the cutest freaking thing I've ever seen. It's so funny.
His
He
face,
just slow walks it.
he stalks them
Oh.
over and over. Like,
He'll get like distracted, go pee, and go right back to it. Yeah, like-
it's his favorite activity. Oh,
Oh, the
I
chicken
couldn't
over there? There's chicken? Wait.
he's insane.
I couldn't remember why or I couldn't figure out why my dogs were going ape shit when I got home, and I was like, oh yeah, I just saw Ruben.
Oh, Ruben, yeah.
He's a baby. I just got home, so he's like so beyond excited to see
Oh
me.
yeah.
He's like, "What, mom? Mom's home? Okay, mom."
I didn't
He's
even
like
give a
literally
shit.
attached to you. So you're not going anywhere.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't even show that, because what about all the amazing gifts you gave us?
No, I am showing this. Hold on.
Biscotti pie. I'm excited.
You got that biscotti pie. I love it.
I'm so excited. I have not even tried it yet, and I'm so,
Oh, girl, it's so good. I love it, love it, love it.
that'll be the first one.
Ugh. I got a line on a cut of the biscotti pine. So
Bye.
oh, pie, sorry.
Hey, nice shirt, Tara.
Thank you.
Cutie.
Becca and I are sporting our Schnozberry Farms, Not Your
Love
Grandma
it.
3 threads over
I
here.
told her she's got to make us big girls some stuff, not this little girl stuff. Thought she'd have had some more big girl stuff out there.
Well, I still want a GM Ho shirt, so
Yeah, he's so
We
neat.
got-
Those baked. Make sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got to get one for Bake too.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
sure we
I'll
get
take a large.
Big
That's
needs
just
it
all.
too. Yep. Can't leave him out.
it's over here.
You know, it's you make a good point though, Tara.
You can even add for bakes at least the original GMO.
It's all caps. Put a C like a little captain thing up there.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Shout out to Chuck D's Nugs.
Nice.
Hooking up with this bowl with
Chuck.
super wide.
I like how wide that is. That's cool.
Very
It's
nice.
got
It'll be easy to clean.
glass stem, exactly. So it's super easy to clean, and as long as you don't throw away your glass screens,
Sweet.
it's in there like a glove. You see?
What are you going to pack in that thing?
I'm gonna pack some flow. So
Nice.
Oh, nice. We've been in the flow too.
We've been loving it so much, it's almost
It's
empty. But it's definitely.
Oh, it's a lit.
I'm smoking a lot. I'm out of Citrique. We haven't had any Citrique for a few weeks now, so it's been quite the struggle to get something that's not gonna put us down on the couch too hard. But the flow keep me going. I like it. It's going. We've had a real busy week in the garden. We got all of our plants out of the house, hardening off under some shade trees.
Nice.
On the north side of our yard is where we kind of keep all of our nursery stock. It's a little shadier over there. You know, your little pots aren't going to dry out as fast, and you can also guarantee that you're not going to get boiled by the sun over there. We have a fence. We have a privacy fence. Some stuff is a little closer to during your first couple days, but also in the greenhouse. Some stuff just went straight into the greenhouse. We've got some shade trees over the greenhouse that kind of protect it a little bit. And not to mention just that plastic adds a little bit of a UV barrier. And it helps because, you know, we're taking all these plants that have been under 50 watts, 100 watts light max, you know, out to the sun. You know, it's been intense lately too. I mean, it's only
Yeah.
April when we took them out. You know, it's early May now, and ooh-wee, you know, it's a hot sun. We've
Are
had
you doing anything with cannabis yet, or are you just keeping them inside still?
no, they're out in the greenhouse with the light on them right
Oh, they're
now.
out there? Okay. Oh, you got a light. Cool.
Yeah. You got to make sure your photo periods have a extended photo period of daylight this time of year, of course.
That was going to be my next question. Do you have any of them flipping on you? But no, because you got your light out there.
not yet. And a lot of them I literally just took out 2 days ago, I think. 2 days ago was probably the first bit. Actually, I took some out. We had a craft fair last week, and all those plants, I had a bunch of indoor plants at the time in soil, and I took them to the craft fair, and that was their first time seeing sunshine. So when they came home, they started going out on the deck and inevitably made their way to the greenhouse. And it's been overcast. That's another good way to
Cool. That was a cool way how that worked out.
Yeah. Good overcast, and the overcast is nice because it'll help filter some of that heat or not heat, but all the intensity of the sun. And
He's got one of your sticks.
Right.
what do you mean a stick?
It's crazy how fast it changed from being too cold to almost too hot. Like,
Yeah.
it just happens so fast. Like, the greenhouse is almost too hot for most of our, annuals. Like, basil is too hot. It's too hot to be in the greenhouse because during the day it gets, 80 plus degrees, and that's, prime bolting temperatures.
Yeah.
So that stuff's, it's outside and it's doing good. And just
It all looked great. I saw it today. I can vouch. It all looked really great. I was very impressed.
We've got our peppers, like Becca was saying, in the greenhouse. That and the cannabis. Pretty much the only thing in the greenhouse because there's not enough space is the peppers and the cannabis.
Peppers and cannabis are both two that are going to love that heat anyway. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
The tomatoes are out of the green. And if we have a freeze or something, we'll cover everything. I mean, we have the ability to cover everything up. And it's kind of the next plan is to actually put hoops over our nursery space. Did Becca mention that we kind of sectioned off a corner of our garden for a nursery space? Small area, about 8 feet by 16 feet or so. Just to have some pallets down and put all of our plants down on trays of plants down on there, tomatoes and everything,
Cool.
basil and everything.
Get a whole bunch of space and they can all harden off outside.
Exactly, and the T-posts that we had to use to add a little bit of fencing to keep Reuben out of the area. We just fenced off the area and made a little like sliding gate type deal. We got sliding gates everywhere. We like the sliding gate deal, just super easy material wise.
Yeah.
And the T-posts, we're able to add our EMT conduit and actually make a little hoop structure there for shade, for poly, potentially light deprivation. I've been thinking about maybe doing light dep right there. I don't know. It all depends on how late the nursery season goes, how long we have plants. But I mean, perennials are kicking ass right now. Like valerian is everywhere. We're going to start really putting a lot of that into pots. We've got mint coming out. We've already gone through an arugula season. We've already there's radishes popping on their own.
And asparagus going.
Yeah, we've had asparagus for a couple weeks now. I got a big old fuck, dude. It's like the size of this back here. You want to see an asparagus, dude? I
Where's
mean,
he going, guys? What do you forget?
Holy shit, dude. That's a girthy
Oh,
one.
right.
Yeah, that's a thick
Oh.
boy.
Rebecca's got a little
I like how you put it next to your cheek.
2 thumbs.
dude. Like this thing is huge
Holy shit.
compared to the rest of the asparagus that you have here. Yeah.
Anybody need kittens? Look at those blue eyes. Anybody need a kitten with blue eyes?
Nope, not the size.
Oh, get out of here! Look at those blue eyes.
Jared, don't you kitten. You guys know I'm
Man.
getting ducks tomorrow.
We're getting ducks tomorrow. Becca just broke it to me. They were getting ducks tomorrow.
It's just an idea.
Why?
Well, they help you weed,
Don't
man.
do it.
Oh,
They help you weed.
Don't do it.
it's my fault. It's my fault because the new pen area that I made, I was like, ducks would do terrible over here. We got a little
He
kiddie
said it.
pools, and I might have said we could bend some EMT conduit and make a little area. We might
You know
have
what? Ducks love to eat slugs too.
we might have a couple ducks running around. this place.
Exactly.
We got a
Just
ton
like
of slugs.
2 ducks
Slugs
would
like
be
crazy.
perfect.
They are so stinky and they're so loud.
They are loud.
What about one duck?
But like
Maybe one
louder
duck.
than a
Oh, just
chicken,
one.
they're pretty
I
loud.
think you need more than
Equally-
one.
equally
I think you need a
loud.
companion.
Perfect.
Equally
Equally loud.
Equally
Perfect.
loud.
I would say equally. Because they're more guttural. They're not as loud as like high pitched. They're more guttural.
We've got a lot of ducks naturally here, so I feel like a couple like fenced in ducks would be fine.
Man, I don't know about this whole a duck maybe.
Two.
I think you have to have more than one. I think they're companion type animals.
Yeah, I get you two. Get two of them.
But they'll definitely
the
if you
big
get a
white one.
male duck, you'll definitely enjoy. Yeah, get yourself a couple Peking ducks like we did, and they'll definitely. I mean, they're aggressive. They'll be taking advantage of your hens. Put it that way. If you have a male duck,
But just get female ducks and it's okay.
Is
sure.
that T?
All right. Good luck.
We're gonna get stuck with two males. It's official. We're getting stuck with two male ducks.
Get a male and a female, then you'll have lots of ducks.
We already
Sex
had
with a duck.
new baby chicks that have to be led in and out of the coop every night because
How are you sexing a duck?
well
Usually
carefully.
at the store, so I
The store tells you if it's male.
Tractor Supply, either it's like
Oh.
this is a female or
Pullets is a word for female, like hens, like female chickens, but unsexed obviously just means they haven't decided. That being said, we've had multiple roosters that were supposed to be hens, you know what I mean, and out of the pullets, so it's definitely not guaranteed.
it's not guaranteed, but I just feel like two cute little ducks would be so cute.
Oh, they're cute and they're fun.
You feel like two cute little ducks would be cute. I feel like they probably would be too.
I want a picture
And
of
they are nice big eggs.
holding
What I think about, I always thought was cool about the ducks how they always follow each other in single file. They always.
There.
Oh,
on
and
the farm,
they'll
they
follow
always-
you. They have their own, like, for sure, own personalities, you know. And when we had ours, they would, follow us around. And the male was definitely a little bit more aggressive. He would nibble on me all the time, much like Ruben does.
Beaks are so cute. Like
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt. It's just surprising.
we already have everywhere, so like maybe it would be okay. It'd just be fine.
We have ducks and geese. There's
They'll be nibbling on some fucking slugs. You don't gotta worry
You guys
about
got
nothing.
ducks and geese, and I
We've
got
got slugs and all kinds
we
of
got a ton
stuff
of
they could eat.
slugs. They
There
would
you go. There you go. Let them get in there. Get to work.
Becca, are you trying to convince us or yourself?
No, I'm convinced. But Red also already said like, hey, this would be a terrible place for ducks.
I used air quotes and everything. She's doing a perfect imitation actually.
So it's gonna happen, and just get ready, guys.
I
In our
can't wait.
Yeah.
We learned we have some cool backyard neighbors, so maybe it's fine.
Now, are you guys gonna do anything at the other property as far as farm goes?
Well,
Yeah,
'Cause that's an option for ducks over there.
we've got 10 feet, 10, we've got 30 square feet of garlic going right now.
Well, that sounds like heaven.
It's been difficult to try to get out there with enough time plan to actually get some yard work done. I've been able to like cut the grass. You know what I mean? Aside from that, I really need to get some like bush cleanup done along our fence line because I want to measure out our garden space a certain distance from our property line and stuff like that. Kind of give ourselves like a road around it so I can fit the truck back there, stuff like that.
It's always good to keep the bush cleaned up anyway, man.
It's always good to clean the bush.
the
and then-
biggest issue is we're not there every day, and
Right.
like for a huge garden or for animals, that's what I worry about. And
Well, I thought the goal was to try to move the garden that you currently have there.
it is.
It is.
So we're
Okay.
currently doing stuff that like doesn't require.
But you're making the garden you currently have bigger right now. Is what you
Yes,
guys
we don't have any fencing or anything.
no,
up, so
we're
we
not
got
making
garden.
we're not making new garden beds here. Just like some new animals. That's all.
in a nursery.
That was just enclosing some space here. So now
Oh, okay.
The
Like
nursery
I said.
space is here. Yeah. Yeah, the place that we're trying to like fix up and inevitably sell and move out towards there. We're just adding on to the garden here and making it bigger. So we're just
Okay, that's cool.
we're doing a little bit of forward, a little backtracking all the time. A little here, a little there, a little, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and I don't know.
Hey, as long as you're going forward, that's all that matters.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
home
one,
ownership.
one leg walks and the other leg kind of stands in place and just kind of like
Yeah.
circles. So anyway, that little nursery space is there. We're also planning a bigger nursery space for like future endeavors out at the commercial space. But that property we've got the garlic at, and no fence. So the idea is to plant some stuff out there that doesn't require any deer fencing. There's a ton of deer. There's deer fucking everywhere.
That garlic might help you.
Garlic
quite close to
is one of the things that we can just grow in the ground and deer won't fuck with it. So we've gotten the garlic going, and it's been actually very successful out there in the soil. We did a total no-till, like right into grass, dude. We actually flipped the grass over. I broad forked it, and then I like cut under it like a sod cutter and just flipped it all, and then just planted right into it, and then covered it heavily with some grass clipping mulch. And there's grass coming up, but it's also not much, and it's all garlic. You know what I mean? It looks really good. So it worked. I'm really happy that it worked.
And when you pull that garlic up, you're basically going to be like fucking aerating the soil.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be really nice. We're going to save at least 3/4 of that to replant in the same space again.
And it's all from last year. So we didn't buy new garlic. It was all from what we harvested last year, which is
awesome.
We only used like a couple cloves total from last year.
I can't fit it on the screen. The garlic here at the house is 2 feet tall. It's huge already. I don't know when scapes are going to pop up. We're going to have a ton of scapes.
Scapes probably in the next month or so.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. They're going to be jamming.
Which I'm so excited because I made garlic scape salt last year, and that was
that's cool. That store's forever.
It was so good, and so I'm gonna do that this year, and then save most of the garlic to make a bigger plot next year. Just keep increasing,
keep multiplying it.
Absolutely,
that's cool.
Yeah. So other things like onions, a lot of the allium, garlic, obviously, just pretty much that entire family is totally deer resistant. So I mean, a lot of that, and also.
What about potatoes? Did deer go after potatoes?
Yeah, I believe they go after the leaves. They're like tomatoes. They like.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if they went after them or not.
Family, the tomatoes are nightshade family. Yeah, they like the nightshade family, which is actually toxic and poisonous. Is just the fruits for some animals like chickens.
It's poisonous usually to us too. We had to breed the poisons out of the tomato to make it edible for us. I
was gonna say the foliage is poisonous too.
Yeah, the foliage is. Yeah.
There's
smells good though, doesn't it? I love the smell of tomato.
Yeah, the nightshade. I'm not sure what toxin is in that, but you want to be careful with those. But yeah, in these gardens here at the house, we're still working on practicing the market style and things like that, and inevitably going to just kind of shift what is a flagship over to what when we have broken ground, but we got to tarp it off.
So that's cool. You basically could use your home plots to seed the new plots.
We've started doing that by collecting a lot of perennials and stuff that we've pulled a lot of the just simply daylilies and daisies and yarrow and just a lot of like our perennial plants. But then we have a lot of valerian that we're going to pop up, all of strawberries and mint and all of that stuff that we're going to eventually have little plots for out there.
Oh yeah.
Move it over.
Ground cover areas.
You do any fruit trees or orchards or anything like that? Any plans for that?
Well, only here for right now, and so far I've been practicing pruning and stuff on those, and those trees are looking really good. We covered them up during our frost, and all the blossoms and blooms survived. So hopefully we'll actually get some their third season. So we're expecting some fruit this season.
What fruit you got out there?
We got a pear. We got fruit off. We got like 11 pear off of our pear tree last year. And it's just
nice. I love pear. I was just talking to Bake today about pears. I grew up. We had like 3 pear trees and 2 apple trees, and I loved the pears. But like the skin was so thick, we would cut the skin off and eat. Just slice the pear. It for the inside.
It's my favorite fruit. It is that specific stone fruit, and actually the Asian pear. I really love the Asian pears.
That's your favorite?
It's probably my favorite. Yeah, easily my favorite fruit. And then I built a little wattle around that specific guild today. A little fencing, short, 6 inches tall as a border, just a border. A tree guild. That one specifically, the pear tree, where there's a couple of yarrow plants. Becca sowed seeds of yarrow last year, and so some of that's medicinal yarrow, and others are botanically ornamental yarrow. And then we have like maybe a dandelion there or something else
Around the pear tree.
around the pear tree.
It's yarrow, chives, garlic chives,
garlic chives.
lavender, and
That's awesome.
oregano.
We pretty much have a lavender plant at the base of all of our trees. So the other trees are a sweet cherry tree and then 2 apple trees. One of the apple trees, I think we have a Macintosh.
Macintosh and Honeycrisp.
Honeycrisp is the other one. And one of the trees is in front of our garden space, so it's only mulched with wood chips. We can't actually get anything to grow around those guilds because Ruben digs them up. So those areas, we haven't had any good luck planting anything in the front of the garden space.
He's a gardener as well, but he just knows how to dig.
He can only dig, so he's not a good planter or a keeper of plants.
So he'll harvest your tubers, harvest all your potatoes.
And that's why we have the fencing around our little nursery space, because he'll just get in there and there'll be pots and plants all over the yard after that.
Chickens would or do the same. I put mulch out earlier this spring already, and of course it's like less than a week later it's all spread out into the yard and all over the driveway. And
I would love to let our chickens roam the yard, and I just, because of all the wood chips, I don't even let them really roam the garden. And I let them roam. I let them get in the cannabis garden later in the season when the cannabis goes, oh look, he's coming in with a whole mouthful of socks. Sweet. He's got a couple. There's just socks scattered out in our backyard. About once a week I can do some good cleanup, and there'll be like 3 socks. I'll find them just in random corners out in the backyard. But now that I got to cut the grass, it's a little bit more frequent. But we had quite a messy spring.
He loves having something in his mouth.
At all times, he's taking shit in our slippers, sandals, everything, dude. Gloves.
don't do it, Spartan. Don't do it, Spartan.
I got nothing. What are you talking about? I'm just sitting here high, feeling good.
He got to go meet his cousins, and my brothers. One of my brothers has a Great Dane, so he got to meet him, and Big Boy put him in his place a couple times. It was really, really fun to just watch Ruben just like I don't know what to do, but I'm totally cool around you, and so he likes to just bark at Bailey, the little one, but with the big one, he not so much. He was
just
like
follows him around, copies everything.
And so he got home and he's actually been chill. Ruben's never been chill.
Yeah.
Great. And he's actually been laying down, and like he's acting just like he'll be a dog. It's kind of cool. He's learning. He's finally almost 6 months old. So, but yeah, so he got to, and he steals. We're putting a canopy, not a canopy, a big giant pavilion thing together. One of those Costco pavilions, Costco canopies made out of wood. Big fucking thing, and put it together at my dad's place.
Those aren't too bad of a price, man. I was eyeballing those myself.
They're a hell of a build. Just
Are they? Okay.
need about 4 people in the
It's-
end. Yeah,
not easy.
Not joking either about the number of people you'd really need to assemble.
How
this
big
thing.
is the one we're doing?
The final dimensions are like 12 by 14, but like the leg span is 10 by 12 or something like that. They're just these giant pillars, and
It's like 10 feet tall with a roof.
and it's a metal roof. It's that, but with like metal gussets on the underside instead of wooden gussets.
Okay.
Yeah, like, and it's a tin roof, and it's all like
Okay.
step by step, tons of bags of screws. My dad's been putting this thing together piece by piece in his garage for the last couple of days. Shout out Daddy Red if he's in chat listening. But my brothers all came over yesterday, and Ruben's just running around a little glove. This is where I got there, by the way, to the story. Ruben's running around as a glove thief, and just stealing everybody's gloves. So it was cute.
Putting everything in his mouth. Putting everything in his mouth.
Everybody, yeah. And for context, more context about this whole family, DOG. If you're not joining, if you're just first joining the show, DOG was our past dog, and he would always join and howl during the show, and he was actually one of the founding members, original members of the show, and not founding members, one of the original members. And he's actually in the cabinet behind Becca and I back here. His cremains are, and he couldn't be around anybody except my mom and dad, Becca and myself. So we never got a chance to like have him out in public around people. Never really got to allow him around even his cousins, you know, the big Great Dane and Auntie Bailey or anybody else like that, little dogs that we have in the family. So it's nice to actually have him learning at a young age and bringing him up, you know, social.
Also, you don't have to put him behind closed doors like you did, DOG. Like when I came over today, I went to knock on the door and I was like, oh yeah, like it's Ruben. He's just gonna come like nibble on my beard or whatever, you know. Like I'm not gonna get eaten alive if DOG sees me.
He
He's
really
like-
does, yeah.
He's such a lover. He gets way more excited to meet new people than for our interactions.
I get so excited to see him.
He shakes his butt. He does a little like whole wiggle, and he's just
My butt to see
such a
him.
lover. He's such a lover.
He's actually like super experienced now, like on his leash and at even the festival scene. Like I was just kind of walking around at Third Eye Craft Affair with him, and he was just kind of like letting me walk. He'd like sniff up at people and like want to jump up, and I'd knock him down for a second, and he'd go back to just sniffing around and eventually
He's
sit.
sad.
He wasn't this way. Like he's been super rambunctious, so he's actually starting to like become a well-mannered dog, which is really nice to see, because I can see where people would want to like give up, so to speak, just like get rid of their dog or whatever. Like, not that we would have the heart to do that. We're going to work through it, but like I can see how challenging raising, especially before they get their teeth come in, and their teeth are razors. I can see that not working out for people. It's difficult. We were bloody. Both of us had blood on our hands every single day for months, and it's just now he crunches and crushes, now he's fucking with Becca. It's a crush,
He got his toy though.
and he's also we're learning how to work through it. So it's a give and a take, and we're seeing how much benefit, having this, a huge responsibility, because in the end, dogs are deadly weapons if you don't train them properly, and they can be in the end, not that they all are, but they can be if train them properly, or just led an improper, friendship and kinship, and it's
Him specifically so smart. He can differentiate between toys. He knows what he's doing. He's just still only 6 months old.
Yeah. So he's super stubborn and super smart. He's like too smart for like listening or anything like that. He's like, I'm not gonna listen. I'm gonna do what I want. Your tasks are nothing for me. So we have to make him work. If he gets all bitey like this, we've actually learned, like he's taught us stuff. He's learning obviously because he's young and a puppy, but we're learning so much more about how to be patient, about how to control a wild animal, domesticated wild animal. But like in the end, like we're finding out different cues, what's working, like, and that's calming him down. Like there's a point where like if I pretend like I want to pick him up to go into the crate, he gets calm. Then when he gets calm, I give him a good boy, and he starts to become more calm, and that's been working, and so like he's difficult to distract, you know what I mean? He's gonna stay on her hand, and he won't get distracted with a toy. He won't get distracted with a treat. You know what I mean? But now he's on a toy, and he's learning. So if you have a puppy, and you're getting frustrated and at wit's end, just keep with it. Just every single day. They're not going to learn in 2 days, 3 days. It's going to take 6 weeks of the same repetitive shit. It seems monotonous, but for them, it's a fucking blast, and that's all that matters, because they're only around for a fraction of our lives. You know what I mean? And we're really thankful. DOG lived to be almost 15 years old as an old dog, and you know what I mean? Not a lot of people would keep a dog around that can't be around other people either. So I mean, it's just a patience thing. It's I think we just really love our animals. I guess maybe it's just what is it, like a codependence thing. I'm codependent on dogs. I'll totally admit that.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am totally codependent on my one dog, Xena. Mm-hmm.
I love having him around.
She
Obviously.
was with me through the divorce that I went through, and it was just like, I know it's caused like issues with her now, and like she's very needy and always has to have her paws on us. she drives him nuts, but you know, she was there when I needed a hug, you know.
Yeah, dude.
So-
I always said Diogi saved my life in many ways. He definitely saved me from like some serious bad life decisions. You know what I mean? He was also there during super difficult moments of like solitude and shit like that. Long lengths of time of just like isolation and shit like that, especially through like a couple years ago. And so anyways, yeah, dogs are fucking amazing, dude. They are totally like best friends. And you know what? For the longest time, I felt protected because I had a dog and I grew cannabis in my house. You know what I mean? And it might not be like this for very long. We could probably switch gears here in a second, but for a long time I was really, really paranoid about the value crop or whatever. You know what I mean? The thought of somebody who holds a value crop, you know, what they might have in possession and what type of thing. So I always utilize a dog for protection. You know what I mean? Keep a dog, and Ruben does a great job of barking even when he hears a noise. And Diogi, I felt very protected as having so that if you guys can see what's behind us right here, that's a Stafford image up there, Stafford Terrier. He was built like a fucking rock. He was a beautiful, beautiful dog. And over here, this painting over here, whoop, I don't know if you probably would have to zoom in, but that gets a little better glimpse of him. But anyways, I felt very protected having that dog around, especially in cannabis. But now, maybe switch gears. I don't know if you got what was a potentially dangerous thing. And I'm not talking about the dogs anymore. I'm talking about what was being grown. This super dangerous thing. Oh my goodness, so dangerous that it had to be lumped up next to what is it? Heroin, and all these things. It's I think the devil's and hanging up there in Schedule 1. I heard some news this week, guys. You guys hear any other news this week potentially?
I was going to throw the curveball at you and then step away because I got to step away for a second. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Schedule 3 and the DEA's decision to change cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, along with what sounds like is going to happen, also heroin and LSD. Thoughts on that, guys?
One, nothing changed because it was just another recommendation. Kick the recommendation to the next party before anything happens. So nothing's changed yet.
I honestly had not heard anything about this myself. So, yeah.
But
Oh, dang, Tara. I wish that I actually had your point of view on this.
me as well.
Yeah.
But
So sorry, my son is a bit sick right now with some things going on neurological. And so I've been kind of like over here with him and his family and the baby. And just, I've been like kind of checked out from everything, if you really want to be honest right now.
Well,
So I know that there's serious things going on in the world, but it's like, I got serious things going on at home. So it's like hard to,
You've got way more serious things going on at home because
but not that this is not, serious in
Yeah.
its own self.
And
you
I've
know,
just
and-
briefly seen a few things on it myself. I didn't really read into it much, so I'm kind of
No, I'm open ears right now. So
what?
Yeah, well, they just basically agreed with the recommendation from the the Health and Human Services, saying to reschedule to 3. The DEA's looked at the information and they pretty much agree with that. So now it's to the next department, which I can't remember what that one's called, but then it goes and has to be like signed and all this.
Would still have to probably go through judicial committee, right? Go through House committee and go through.
I don't know if it has to go through all that or not. I think it just has to get signed by the president, maybe. But
Get popped in. I know
but
that.
it's like a policy change, right? It's not like, but if it does go into effect, I'm completely fine with it because right now it's fucking Schedule 1, which we all fucking forget, and not we all. I'm just saying this figuratively. A lot of people forget that it's Schedule fucking 1 right now. So it's gotten so if they bump it to Schedule 3. All details aside, it's still better off because it's, obviously the goal is descheduled, right? Off the schedule completely. That's the goal. But fucking getting descheduled is still getting scheduled down 2 notches is way the fuck better than being up in that first notch. That's for damn sure.
I mean, I guess if I had anything to say, I don't want to. I don't want to be associated with the heroin portion of it, kind of thing. I think that is the most thing right there. That kind of
Still would require prescription.
that got me a bit.
That I think is a
Three.
side. That's like a side note. I'd say that's the loaded end of the question for Groli's tossing up there. I think we could probably finish with that because that's totally different. That's
Yeah, I mean that's like, yeah, I don't know.
things.
You
Because
know,
because of
yeah,
being
LSD, mushrooms, that kind of thing. That's
I think it's good as far as they can study the cannabis part more. I guess being a Schedule 3,
yeah.
they'll
I
be
mean,
able to
that's the biggest thing. I
develop
think.
more
Yeah.
studies and be able to maybe get some type of organizations to pay for these studies or something
Federal.
federally. I don't know.
I like that they're
Be on
acknowledging.
their way to obviously.
Yeah, that's another big one. Is those both are big ones. Is Red saying that they're acknowledging it? Yeah, they are acknowledging the medical value of it, and that's why it's getting pushed out of Schedule 1, which is big.
Yeah.
And then two, what
Huge.
not to be brought up is that it's going to be way less restrictions now for these universities and these other groups that want to study or have a study on the plant. There's going to be a lot more studies coming out if that.
Yeah, which there
Okay.
really needs to be because
It will
there's
be great.
so much potential with this plant. I mean, so much potential.
There's going to be a lot of red tape for commercial cannabis for sure. There's going to be some pluses. They'll be able to, collect the tax or claim things on their taxes that they couldn't before, which is great. They'll be treated like other businesses. But then also, there's all the red tape of the DEA now getting involved as a Schedule 3 and the whole pharma side of things and the having to have a doctor's prescription for it to be legal federally. I think all the state laws will still apply like they do now, but to be federally legal, you'd have to jump through their hoops, and that's going to be interesting to see what that is.
What I kind of see it being is like you're saying, if the states are able to keep if the dispensaries and everything don't all of a sudden have to like be FDA certified and all of this stuff goes on, I think that what it opens up is the ability for like somebody to potentially transport cannabis across the country from one state to another, assuming
Well, to answer your question, no, they wouldn't have to because they operate currently out of they would have to be legal. They would have to be DEA certified now to dispense cannabis, and they're doing it now. See what I mean? There's just a schedule move from 1 to 3, so they're not going to have to get a license. I don't know where that's coming from people. That's like that. No, we still operate under our state laws. They're not changing our state laws.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, would they have some DEA license that those that wanted to participate in this federal?
Well, yeah, there's probably a DEA so that somebody could operate federally. Like if some company wanted to go pursue that and do the participate, be compliant both ways. I could see that.
I could see like CVS wanting to sell vape cartridges or edibles or something.
Yep, I'm fine with that. Let's do it. Let's get more access out there.
I think where they would need they already have their DEA license and they would be able to open up and they would just put their shit together for cannabis.
But they would only be able to dispense things that were fucking federally approved and went through the whole pharma thing. So that's going to take years and years of their fucking trials to even get there.
What else is on the Schedule 3? Do we got to have a list in front of us of what's on Schedule 3?
I think the small, the most, I think one I saw on there was Tylenol with codeine.
So other codeine products, would fentanyl be on Schedule 3?
Oh,
Vicodin or what else? What is that? What else is on? Okay, so I'll just look it up real fast.
yeah, this is could potentially be such a rabbit hole right here. The situation with the opioids and
Look at it based on that,
yeah,
to compare it to some of those things you're talking about is
roots.
definitely
Those may be Schedule 2 because this is saying Schedule 3 includes ketamine, antibiotic steroids, and some acetaminophen codeine combinations. So this is the issue that I have mostly with the entire scheduling thing in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting a label on it too is the other thing, but
Well, the poppy plant gets 3 different categories in itself. Why is cannabis plant getting lumped into this? So the whole thing, I think the whole scheduling of substances just needs to be taken away. I don't think that needs to exist. I think that there's other ways that they should classify substances, drugs, whatever you want to call them. I mean, but everything is a drug. You know, everything in nature affects it in a different way. I'm talking about valerian.
The lens they look through it is wrong. Instead of looking through a criminal lens, they should be looking at through a health.
What is value? Let's go deep here. Let's look at value.
Look at value.
Yeah. Let's see here.
That's a downer, isn't it?
Schedule 4 drugs include
Like Deep Root said, Vicodin, Schedule 3. You know.
Xanax and Valium. So Xanax and Valium, Tramadol. Tramadol is also a animal tranquilizer. You give Tramadol to pets.
so
Alt-
tramadol is Altram, which is like very like
it's a
very low dose like kind of situation.
Aspirin.
No, not aspirin.
no, it's like it's a sedative. It's
Yes.
a
Thank you.
laxant and a sedative. Similar to Valium and Xanax, actually, all those kind of are in that same kind of Darvocet, Darvon. A lot of those are all in that same. Those are all Schedule 4, right? And we all know like Xanax specifically, and you know that combination with alcohol has been known to
Deadly. Just stop reading.
and if you can, you know, if it's not deadly to you, it most certainly will cause, you know, poor mental capacity,
Poor judgment.
the form of dementia and potentially linking to Alzheimer's and things like that. But anyways, I'm not going to get into some of these other drugs and their effects, but cannabis really hasn't hurt anybody in the first place. So we can start
Yeah,
there.
that's what stinks about all this. It's heard over cannabis right now, and it's sad we're getting lumped into things that are potentially deadly. How about
But
that?
it's good that we're moving in the right direction, and we move 2 schedules at least. You know, we leapfrog. It's not like one schedule down, and you know, just a little bit. I think it's since how at the federal level, I haven't seen any movement, and I think my life for me to see movement at the federal level. If it happens, I still have not sold that that's going to happen yet because everybody's all saying it's happening, and nothing has fucking happened yet. But if it does happen, I'd be excited to see it because it's movement. It's movement in the right direction that I just haven't seen.
The entire scheduling, old ancient drug war politics, you know, is from ultimately it came from a president who was impeached. I mean, a lot of his bullshit was about. Sorry, I don't mean to be profane, but a lot of his bad antics. You know what I mean? A lot of that stuff was just. It was for the. What would it be? The like hierarchy of society. It was to oppress groups, racial groups. It was to oppress minority groups and do a lot of things. It succeeded at a lot of things. You know, it created a system to allow profit prisons to exist. I mean, it's just so much, you know, just through the incarcerations of people that go to prison for simple drug violations, not just cannabis, but like the entire thing is ridiculous. And like when I think about cannabis as the entire plant being Schedule 1, but then you look at a plant like the poppy, where the poppy plant is an ornamental. It's allowed to be grown. It's an agricultural product for poppy seed. You don't have to have a license at all to sell poppy seeds. Nobody's checking to make sure you've cooked those seeds. I don't even think now if you want to make bread and sell poppy seed bagels, then you have to follow cottage law if your state allows cottage law. Cottage law is something where, you know, you could think of something like a jam or something that takes processing. It's an agricultural food product, but it's post-processed. So you've taken wheat or flour and you've created bread. You've taken eggs and some of these other ingredients and you've made a cake or cookies or something like that. If you want to actually sell those things, you need to get a license in most places that's post-processed foods. You can only really make money selling agricultural products, so like vegetables basically. Otherwise, in many jurisdictions, in Michigan being one of them, we have what's called cottage law. So this means that if you make a jam or a bread or something like that, you're allowed to make up to $25,000 before you need a food license, and you're allowed to make these products in your kitchen. So they actually say, without the FDA needing to come in and inspect your home, they allow you to make some money and sell these goods. But if you make so much money and you're considered commercial, then you should be recognized under the FDA, because now you're getting to be a bigger level. Now, I'm just explaining cottage law because regulation applies in food, you know what I mean? But a lot of times, many times when you're looking at cottage law, and depending on the products, it only applies to certain industries, you know what I mean? As far as like what you can capitalize. Now you can, here's the other thing about not even, this is cottage law in Michigan, but like you can make up to like $15,000 selling maple syrup or honey. But if you make more than $15,000, this might be maple syrup, I think. If you make more than $15,000, you need a license for sale. And then similarly, I think honey has one. There's like 2 or 3 different caps or something like that for honey. So you need different FDA, and these might be USDA licenses. They might be FDA licenses. They just might be different, like regulatory statuses that you need. And they might have different limits of what you can make before you need this, that, the other. Who's going to come check your farm at what certain times? All of these other things that we're always like talking about in cannabis, right? But anyways, the big long reason I'm talking about that is because, you know, inevitably, I think that like cannabis should be an agricultural product, and at very least, if regulated, small producers should be allowed to manage some sort of a crop and call it cottage law or something until you make so much money or something. You should be allowed to collect on your revenue or something like that before you need some sort of a license. You know what I mean? Anyway, cottage law aside, back to the drug scheduling side of things, the poppy, being an ornamental, can be grown, and you don't need cottage law or anything like that to sell poppy seeds, even though poppy seeds can be sedating and still hold alkaloids of the poppy plant, which a lot of times are codeine and morphine and a lot of these other things that go into make pharmaceuticals and even heroin. So now you get into the poppy is stretched out along the Controlled Substance Act in all the categories pretty much. And it's wild because the poppy itself, unlike the cannabis plant, well, I guess now with the Farm Bill, as long as you grow cannabis without THC, it can be considered hemp. You know what I mean? But still, you know, loosely, there's in Michigan, we need licensing again for hemp production, right? I guess even, you know, but for selling it and stuff like that. But either way, that's a whole nother side of things. The poppy until it can be grown. Now, if you extract certain alkaloids and create a pharmaceutical, it's like a Schedule 2, I think what we've seen here. Schedule 3, codeine. Codeine is in poppies, so there's a Schedule 3 drug. And then I think something else comes off of poppies that is, I think, Schedule 2. Processing it down further and making heroin, then you become a Schedule 1. But the plant itself is an ornamental, and then it's also used in plenty of pharmaceuticals in all 3 schedules. So then leads me to the cannabis plant being scheduled in the first place, of it being non-harmful, non-addicting, all of these other things, more like coffee or something like that. Coffee being unscheduled in the first place, also a stimulant. nutmeg and a psychoactive compound, and we can get into any of the multiple botanicals that just grow, naturally all around us that are
Why you
psychoactive.
gotta throw nutmeg under the bus, man? Why you gotta do that?
It's just
Now you better take my nutmeg from me, man.
Pumpkin spice season. I always like to remind people
That's what
that
I'm saying. That's my shit. That's my jam.
nutmeg is why it makes that pumpkin spice latte feel so good. You know what I mean? And yeah, dude. So it is. It's psychoactive, and it's in higher doses, and it's also deadly in higher doses. So, unlike cannabis, the amount of nutmeg that it takes to kill you is like 2 grams of nutmeg. I think you can take like 96 grams a can. Don't quote me on this, by the way. But cannabis LD50 is very high. It's like 40 or 50. You guys showed it on the Variables podcast.
Yeah, we did the math. It was a lot of kilograms I would have to
A lot of kilograms.
consume of pure
A
THC.
lot of kilograms you'd have to. Yeah. So I mean, nutmeg is more toxic or deadly by weight than even pure THC alone, not just the cannabis flower. And we're talking about the nutmeg not being extracted. We're talking about nutmeg, the nut, the botanical object, right? So just like the flower. Now the scheduling thing in general, now we can get into like removing heroin, LSD, and all of that stuff. Personally, most of the drugs on the Schedule 1 are street versions of pharmaceutical drugs in the first place. Like heroin is street version of morphine and fentanyl and a lot of these other things. Fentanyl is the synthetic version, but far more potent, right? And more deadly, but basically playing on the same receptors and does identical things. All these drugs, they do identical things. You're looking at natural versions versus synthetic pharmaceutical versions, which are legal. Valium, for example, talk about valerian. Valium is a synthetic version of what comes from the valerian plant. I'm not sure what alkaloid that is specifically, but again, that's why I brought up that one in the equation, try to figure out which is Schedule 4. So it sounds like it's not as imperative. But if you're harvesting poppies for any other reason than it's ornamental, if you're harvesting the sap or even growing the dried poppy flowers for whatever reason other than baking those seeds and ensuring that those seeds get baked, you could be in violation of the Controlled Substances Act. So this goes far and wide, not just through cannabis. It goes into gardening, in many other aspects, depending on, like, you can't just grow coca, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff. Like, what if you just want to chew on coca leaves? Like, we're not talking about processed cocaine, you know what I mean? We're talking about the botanical plant, which has a caffeine-like alkaloid, which can be extracted to make a Schedule 1 substance, but also, is used medicinally throughout the South Americas and in traditional medicines and religions and things like that. So we're talking about drug laws that really oppress and restrict and categorize cultures and things like that into specific. It's not the drugs so much that are being categorized. It's cultures that are being categorized, and it's cultures that are being recognized by these schedules. And to abolish it, I don't know what would happen if you just got rid of it altogether. Where would everything go? But one of the main things that I see is it says who and who isn't allowed to make money off of nature. That's what I see. What I see is who is and is not allowed to get a license, and some licenses are even available for arbitrary, like the whole poppy thing. Like, it just some of it just seems arbitrary what is and what's not on certain listings and in what schedules that they're in. The whole fact that you can just synthesize and create any compound to do any type of psychoactive thing from mostly just fats, lipids. You can use terpenes, you can use petroleum, you can use anything that has carbon in its chain, and you can just change it ever so slightly, and all of a sudden it's no longer on the DEA scheduling list, but it can do the same thing to you. So they were doing that with what? K2 and spice and all these synthetic cannabinoids. Remember the synthetic cannabinoid thing? I mean, basically now a lot of them are scheduled, but I mean, all you have to do is change a molecule and now it's not scheduled anymore. And it's this synthetic version of whatever. But the other point being is, you know, kind of like, so be it what people choose to medicate with in the end. You know what I mean? There are going to be people that medicate with all kinds of different natural substances, botany included. There's going to be people that dibble and dabble on all these things, traditionally, medicinally, culturally, spiritually, whatever it may be. You're not going to stop anybody from licking a toad or do anything like that. No law is going to stop people from going into the jungle and harvesting certain things. But what you can do is enact education and make it so that what is available is not the stuff that kills you. Because what is available today, these synthetic versions of a lot of these natural substances that otherwise won't kill you, are very harmful to you. And the only reason they exist is because the natural substances are criminalized, are put on this fictitious DEA substance. Well, it's not fictitious. It truly exists because people are in prison because of these substances, but it doesn't make sense that it exists. It was enacted by somebody who inevitably ended up being impeached. And I don't think that any of his policies should have been taken seriously. You know what I mean? I think that they all should have been looked at thoroughly, except people began, it was all money and control and power, and it exists. And that's where we're at today. And to take it off of scheduling altogether, I agree. But what does happen? My question is, and I want cannabis. I don't think that cannabis should be scheduled. Like I said, we should just get rid of the scheduling altogether. I think that all stuff happens. But do you guys think that if that does happen, this is just a question because I don't know. My opinion is it'll get lumped under the ATF. It won't. They're not just going to let it be tomatoes. I want it to be. I think it should be an agricultural crop, at very least, like a poppy, where we can grow it ornamentally, and it is challenged after we harvest it in that kind of stuff. But if not, if for anything, that it should be allowed to be grown. Extractions and all that other kind of stuff. Now you can talk to whoever you want to talk about. But botanically, as it should be like a poppy, right? Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense that it's scheduled in the first place. Now, hemp and is the same deal. You know what I mean? We should be allowed to freely grow hemp without any even question of the cannabinoid. You know what I mean? Our judgment shouldn't be based on, you know, whether or not we're lying about something. You know what I mean? They shouldn't have to worry. They shouldn't have. They have to deal with that. That should be on us, and they should allow us to do some sort of cottage law where we're allowed some sort of, you know, not necessarily profit, but remuneration for our work and our, you know, labor and our materials used to provide goods and services to our community, even in small batch, small scale. You know, and to abolish all of that, do you think that the ATF would end up taking this over, or do you think that hemp and all this stuff will just freely be allowed to be grown like poppies? You know?
If it's still a medical thing, the ATF will not be taking it over.
So what would happen if descheduled?
I could see them coming into the picture then.
Well,
but it would still be DEA and
so if we went full, because I want I don't think it should be Schedule 3, you know, and I think there should be.
I agree.
Product and like I said, at very least something where we can have a cottage law. So deschedule it is, and I say, you know, where does it go from there? Because you can't sell homebrew and you can't sell wine.
It'd be regulated like it would be in the ATF. It'd be like the CATF, the CADF.
That's what I'm thinking would happen to it. So what would end up happening with the medicinal value of cannabis and the fact that cannabis is now, because you don't see the ATF.
So the DEA wouldn't be able, the federal agency, the ATF or the CATF at that point, wouldn't be able to enforce any laws until it came to interstate commerce. So as long as you stayed and operated within your state and followed your state laws, you'd be fine. But as soon as you try to start going across state lines, then they can get involved.
But is that the same with alcohol and firearms? Because you get firearms across state lines.
Yeah, that's why the alcohol is like different.
You can take firearms. Hold on, Red. You can take firearms across state lines, but you cannot take federally regulated firearms across state lines without notifying who? The ATF, which is actually the ATFE, the Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
Explosives, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of a sweet new acronym. If we threw a C
Oh,
in there,
what's a federally registered firearm? What's that? What is that?
That would be like a short-barreled shotgun, an automatic firearm, a grenade launcher. You know,
Let's
things
say a
like that.
rocket launcher, a
Yeah.
tank.
Yeah, a tank, yeah, fighter jet or something. I don't know.
Oh, big
So that would be like your specialty cannabis license then, or your specialty.
It would be a federal license.
So now okay, so alcohol governed under the ATF, alcohol only allows 2 distributors in all of Michigan for beer and wine. So
Who is it? Great Lakes and who?
Great Lakes and Total Wine and Spirits or something like that, unless that's
Okay.
what Great Lakes is Great Lakes Total Wine. Great Lakes Total Wine and Spirits might be the same place, but there's
Maybe.
only one. And they're both like one's downriver and the other one's on the west side in Detroit, and they're not that far from each other really. They service the entire state. 2 distributors out of Southeast Michigan. They're both in the same region. It's wild, and it's all different products. If you want Jose Cuervo, and not just tequila, you know, one distributor might have Jose Cuervo, the other distributor might have Modelo or something. You know what I mean? So, and they deliver on different days and whatever. So, I don't know how that would end up getting lumped in, or what other states do for that matter, and or how that even works nationally. You know what I mean? With
They got to just be under that department, and they would create a whole department for cannabis with its own rules.
I mean, we could, if it's
like there's alcohol's got unique rules from firearms.
It's not under DEA scheduling. There's all kinds of different.
It wouldn't be DEA. It would be the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Catafee.
The catafee. Yeah, the catafee.
Yeah, but I mean, what honestly though, when it comes to federal regulations, because the state rules will still be in play, and that's why I think once if we're talking descheduled, then the states will still have their medical laws for as long as they want.
Well, also, I hope that the state we have our own schedule lists, and it's retarded. I'm sorry for using that word. It's stupid for us on our in this day and age where we have legalized both medicinally and recreational in the state, and it is still Schedule 1 in our state.
Mm-hmm.
Which
yeah,
affects a lot of things with people's like insurances and just a bunch of things.
Yeah, well, I guess that's probably why they don't want to change it yet. But you'd think we'd be, as Michigan, you know, how we are with this right now, you'd think we'd be the ones changing it before the feds did.
You'd think we would, but yeah, we're not.
Money speaks volumes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, so let's do a thought experiment, maybe some brainstorming here, guys, because we can compare it and let's put it in the same category as the ATFE, right? So firearms, alcohol, tobacco. I don't really know much about the regulations of explosives. I mean, I guess maybe if we're talking like explosive gases, like, you know, sometimes like gasoline tank, like, you know, transport trucks, they have to take certain routes, you know, can't go in like tunnels and things like that, but that's pretty basic stuff, right? I think. I mean, I'm saying it's basic. Just because I don't know enough about it, but talking about firearms, we talked about that, how like, yeah, each state has their own laws, varying greatly from state to state. Think about Texas versus California or something like that, right? And even, you know, cities will have their own laws, like Chicago, New York. They're, you know, very heavily gun controlled areas. And then you've got the federal regulations, like we talked about, which is a much smaller number of, I guess, items that's probably covered there, but also way stricter. You know, you got this tax stamp thing that dates back to like I'm sure the cannabis stamp idea too. You know, similar tax stamp, you know, then you've got a license and a registration and then transport rules and all this stuff. And then the ability to transfer ownership of that, you know, there's a whole thing there, which there is right now with the cannabis licenses in Michigan too. So kind of we're covered there. We talked a little bit about alcohol, how there's 2 distributors, how there's licenses for that, and they limit the amount of licenses and it's, you know, in certain radius, if you will. I don't know enough about tobacco, but that's maybe just a little bit looser than cannabis, but a similar thing. Like it's got to be coming from a distributor, sold at a specific place.
Yeah, but I mean, they do a pretty good job of distributing alcohol in the state. Everywhere I fucking go, I can see alcohol everywhere. At the gas station, at the. It's not like that. There's any,
Grocery
so
stores.
it's not like that's a system that doesn't work in some way. It
There are
definitely.
very
For
few-
sure. Oh yeah. Yeah. For sure.
There's very few red zone alcohol. They call them dry counties, but they're not really
Yeah.
counties anymore, but dry cities or townships. There's a couple. There are out there. There's a couple little townships that don't have liquor stores or don't allow.
Tennessee has them.
But or they heavily restrict the sale of them. Like you can't sell alcohol on Sundays. As I know is a big one in many places in the South. And then there
Used to have it here in Michigan up until only a few years ago.
floor, I heard. But anyway, yeah, in certain places in Michigan, at certain times, wasn't it? Like you could only
It was Sundays until like noon or something. You couldn't buy alcohol
you couldn't buy alcohol until afternoon on Sundays.
from 2 a.m. till noon, I guess. But yeah, now it's. I think they just got rid of that. It's,
Yeah, we would throw keggers on Sundays and shit like that, and like wouldn't be able to get our
gotta wait until the game's already started.
booze. What's going on? Yeah, football days. The eight. Yeah, so I really don't know where I was going with that.
Just the CATA fee and like how the regulations are going to compare to alcohol, tobacco, firearms, explosives, and what that's going to look like on the state and federal scale if it becomes fully descheduled.
I don't know, I think it would be better. I think it will look better than what we have now. Is what I think.
I agree.
So I'm for it because in the end, every step that we make to complete freedom, I think, is a right step to take. So, and it's always small steps. It's never, I mean, short of a civil war or something crazy,
Right.
don't get fast movement with the government. And this is
Change is slow, man.
yeah, exactly. So this is positive movement. It's not the sky. I'm so tired of the sky is falling attitude from a lot of the community.
well,
Because you have to remember it's still becoming more legal on the federal level. We're already not paying attention to their legal status in the federal level. We've got that.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
So why do you care that it's becoming more, more or less legal? It's like, why would you want it to continue to be more illegal? I don't understand that.
anarchy. Thank you. The part of the show that we get into the anarchy section.
That's the thing to me. It's just like I don't understand why you would be for more illegal. You know what I mean? I hear a lot of people shooting holes in it going to Schedule 3, but I don't hear anybody giving a good argument saying it should stay in Schedule 1.
Is anyone? I don't know if anyone is saying it should stay in Schedule 1. I'm sure there are people. I should say no one, but I think most of the people we come across and talk to are probably, if they're upset about it going towards Schedule 3, it's because they think it's not enough. And
Well, but we all agree on that. So what's the
right?
Yeah.
It's because people like to argue, Spartan.
That's what I'm saying. It's not an argument. So why create it? That's ridiculous.
The ball's nudged, and I guess that matters. So
For sure.
I can dig it. I can dig that the ball got nudged and that there's something going on. Who knows what the reason it's getting nudged is?
It's election year. That's
The
why.
election year is the reason, and they have a person. Well, I don't want to get into it, but I mean, God,
Get into it.
I'll just say that you got a guy up there who is like very questionable if he should be, allowed to drive a car, let alone do anything else. And
I'm seeing him ride a bike.
Like paraphernalia, Schedule 1, dude. Paraphernalia laws are fucking very.
Yeah. exactly, that's why this matters. That's why it matters to me. Is like all those laws, all those little bullshit laws tied into the schedules are going to be way less. You know what I mean? And less people are going to be going to jail for at least slower sentences or lower sentences or no sentences, and that's less people going to jail for a plant, which is dumb.
Well, you can't have drug testing. Drug kit testing, fentanyl tests are considered paraphernalia.
That's what I've said at the beginning. It's like it's the focus is wrong. They're using the wrong lens. Instead of looking through drugs, we'll say drugs, through a criminal lens and saying you either do this or it's a criminal thing or locking you away for life and ruining your life. They should be looking at it as why are you doing drugs? Are you self-medicating? You know what I mean? Look through it as a public health issue and fucking still treat it not like what they did in, what was it, Seattle or wherever it was, where they just legalized everything and just let the world go to hell. No, you have to have like a like what Red was saying, you have to have like a clinic that they walk into and they can fucking get the pure whatever the fuck it is that they need and have it administered by a health professional, and then maybe have a psychiatrist there to be like, okay, let's figure out what's wrong with you. Or maybe it's a medical thing too, like I have, you know, this opiate addiction because my back hurts, you know, whatever the hell it is, and then get the problem fixed.
Even if you want
throw them in a cage because they're hurting, that's ridiculous.
even if you want to risk some like clandestine chemist, you know what I mean, as a free adult, to risk that I believe that you made your nutmeg powder at that proper dose that's not gonna, you know, put me 6 feet under. It's gonna throw me over the edge spiritually, but not literally, right? If I want to trust you with it, I should be able to, but I should also be able to take that home and get it tested to make sure that when I throw myself over the edge, I'm not going to hit rocks. I'm going to hit water. You know what I mean? So you should be allowed to throw yourself over the edge with many things, like take risks and do all those things that we're allowed to do as humans. But to allow us to be able to make these decisions both educatedly and responsibly, because most of the time we make decisions off of you know, hearsay or just literally uneducated momentum, you know, and a lot of times if we knew prior to what we would have done, you know, you know, change what might have happened, you know, or whatever. But then also you're right, Spartan, because a big issue doesn't make, you know, drugs aren't the problem. It's not the fact that somebody experiments or walks around with a gram of something powdered in their pocket. You know what I mean? That's not the issue. The issue is the drugs aren't going around and killing people. It's the rate of use, the abuse, and why people are consuming them in the first place, and which ones they're actually consuming that is doing the bad, that's causing them to like die or be ill or whatever, and which ones are helping, because a lot of people do get helped. And I know that it's easy to accuse people of meth addicts as like being crackheads or something like that. But we have to remember that the amphetamines in a class of stimulants, you know, and methamphetamine being one of them, is very similar to Adderall. In fact, identical as it acts on your receptors and as it plays on your body. So what you have is methamphetamine being, again, the street version. I believe methamphetamine is scheduled 2. It's not schedule 1. And methamphetamine is scheduled 2, or I don't think it's 3, but I think it's scheduled 2. And what you have is Adderall, which I think is schedule 3. Adderall might be schedule 3 or schedule 4. And Adderall is prescribed to people of the age of like 11, younger, maybe. There's Concerta and plenty of other stimulants and stuff like that. It is very beneficial to a lot of people. So I'm not rapping on Adderall or the usage of any substances at all. I'm rapping on the perception, you know, that it is that you just need to look at it a different way. Is that people that consume meth is very similar to people that consume Adderall. There's a necessity for it for some people. They may be using it medicinally, and the fact is that the way that meth is created in the street, in like in certain situations in the woods, you know what I mean, is bad for the environment. It's bad for people's health. You know what I mean? So pharmaceutical.
Yeah, imagine if there was just a clinic, like all the money they spend on fucking fighting this bullshit and fucking prosecuting people and just and housing them and feeding them and fucking imprisoning them. Imagine if they put that money to just have some clinics on every other corner. It would put the fucking black market out of business in the fucking heartbeat, because you would have a clean spot to go.
You say that, but have you ever sat outside of a Starbucks in a parking lot and watched them?
No.
I mean, they got to be the biggest drug dealers in this country, bro. Like, I know it's caffeine is on a much lower level than Adderall and methamphetamine, but it's got to be in this. You know, it's a stimulant, right? And it kills 10,000 people a year. I think it's more dangerous than cannabis, personally. And
no, it's great to. It's actually great to mix with cannabis. Cannabis and
I also agree there. But
it's not just
cannabis, caffeine, and water. That was my diet for a minute.
All the coffee places are always busy popping. The drive-through lines are always full,
Caffeine's a psychoactive compound. It's a psychoactive compound. It's technically not a stimulant. It's psychoactive to the point where it makes you feel stimulated. Your heart rate barely increases. It's more of a sensory overload, including the anxiety from it and all that comes. That's very similar to psychedelics and psychedelic use. Which and most people just consider it, it's just a part of our culture and something we use, but so are a lot of other psychedelics, and so is cannabis, so is hashish and hash and just whatever, tobacco and all kinds of stuff. We medicate as a civilized as I want to say as a species. We medicate. It's just what we do, and all species really do. They find something. And I mean, if we actually ate whole food and natural food diets, you would feel the medicated effects of all of the foods that you eat. You would feel all these little subjective highs and lows of the foods you eat. If you eat too many nuts, you get super sedated and fucking sleepy. If you eat too much garlic, you fucking be ripped with energy. You know what I mean? And it's like, these are real. This is nature. Nature is drugs everywhere. All of our food is drugs. Food is drug. There's actually a beautiful book. It breaks down a lot of drugs, substances, and politics, the way society looks at them. Written by, I believe it was Terence McKenna, and I believe it's called "Food of the Gods." "Food of the Gods" by Terence McKenna. It's very interesting, and it really takes a look at the way drug culture is recognized socially and politically. And the reason for the war on drugs, the reason for the cultural war on drugs, the reason for the spiritual war on drugs, and then the reason why caffeine is left alone and why some substances like the poppy is the way it is. Like, I bring all of this up, it'd be to question it all, because the scheduling just seems arbitrary once you really look at nature. And you look at how nature affects us subjectively, not subjectively, but it affects us in the way that can enhance our mental capacity and physical capacity in many different ways, and how both of those are repressed, and why this is all a big fucking distraction, and to lead us again more into the diversion of politics and everything that's going on. The real issues at hand on why the foods are expensive, the natural foods are expensive, and the cheap foods themselves, the sugar. Why is insulin so fucking expensive and Pepsi so fucking cheap? That should be the fucking question, and that should be the fucking cause. We shouldn't be having to worry about what cannabis falls under. And you know what, quite frankly, they're bad laws, and as a person of human, I believe that I'm going to just kind of exist as a human and do what's good for my body, and so I'm and my mind and my neighbors and my family and everybody else around me. So if that means using my soil and growing plants or whatever that it takes, then that's what I have to do. And I mean that like as globally, you know what I mean? Like, it's not you that's bad doing something. It's the laws and the way that culture looks at things because of propaganda and all of these other things on why they're bad. And also, like, yeah, everything has a limit to where it's no longer good for you. You know what I mean? There's a point where sugar becomes really bad for you. Caffeine becomes bad for you. Water becomes bad for you. Like all these things. Food's like the biggest example. You shouldn't handle motor oil too much. Like there's so many things. You know what I mean? And we get put on the pedestal for the ones that basically change our perception and allow us to think. You know what I mean? And the ones that allow us to survive. Like food. You know what I mean? And really, that's the war. It's not the war on drugs. It's the war on food, and it's the war on education and the war on knowledge. And all of those things are basically hidden. The war on knowledge is like hidden. It's like pushed off to the side by this over-encompassing war on drugs that just needs to be gone away, because drugs don't exist. Food exists, and substances exist, alkaloids exist, and the way they react with us exists. And we need to just acknowledge and educate which ones do certain things and which ones are man-made and can harm us, and then proceed. You know what I mean? And yeah, the just legalize everything option, I don't know how it worked. I don't know how that experiment in Seattle or Washington really worked. I know that I don't live there. I would have to
I
see.
believe they've reversed it already.
I would have to really see what's going on. But I also don't necessarily just believe that the only access is allowed through clinicians and things like that. I think that you should be allowed to do your own stuff.
Oh, I'm not saying the only access. I'm saying, but have that available. So that is an option.
That option should be available. Yeah. And a lot of those options should be, I don't know how, like privately funded, however you want to do it. Like, even if you had the option to have those privately funded, allow groups to go and raise funds for those things. Yeah. I mean, and then as other city obligated things could work into it, then you can piss people off by saying that your taxes go to it. You know what I mean? But at least allow it. Allow it to happen. It's not even allowed. You know what I mean? So
really, you think people would be pissed off that their money was going to that rather than going to keep somebody in a fucking jail cell?
A lot of people, yeah, because they're like, my money ain't supporting no addicts. Look at the way you can't. People
Crazy.
don't
It's
support
insane.
clinics right now. People don't support Narcan. Like Narcan's, people are like irate the fact that like there's a Narcan thing because their tax money goes to somebody privately owning a Narcan box. Get the fuck out of here. Somebody bought and paid for that Narcan. Your tax money didn't go.
Saving people's lives, and they're so cold that they'd rather people die.
That's the issue.
Wow.
I remember them
Horrible.
bitching about the one in Kalkaska near the Kalkushka Lounge. There,
Yeah.
people would say, "Why do they got to put one here and this near there and blah blah blah."
Granted, it was very unusual. I really didn't expect to see it there. That was my first time ever seeing a Narcan box. Honest to God,
It was in
it was
Kalkaska.
in Kalkaska. Very
We
first
do
time.
have places where there are city funds and stuff that go towards methadone clinics and Narcan boxes. You know what I mean? And all that stuff is fine. And you know what I mean? People in the township vote on that stuff. That
No, they need it.
allow your communities to vote on stuff. You know what I mean? Is the thing. Allow communities to vote locally rather than this huge umbrella. You know what I mean? That of these like really ancient laws. You know what I mean? And allow us to like kind of like progress as a community. You know.
I saw one of the rest stops along I-75 south of Ohio, I think, had a Narcan dispenser in the bathroom, like it was like a tampon or a condom dispenser, like you see often. You know what I mean? But it was an actual
Seen
Narcan.
that in
like-
all my travels.
yeah, that was the only one. You know what I mean? I only seen one, but I was like, oh, snap, okay.
A lot too. But wow.
Narcan dispensers and then fentanyl testing, because at least Narcan's legal. You know, fentanyl tests are paraphernalia, and under Joe Biden's old law, paraphernalia laws are shit. I hope I didn't get us flagged for anything by using fucking that word,
Shit.
that name and the word cannabis in the same show.
Let's go to Brandon. Like,
Now we're flagged.
Say, hey, yo,
We use all the hot words anyway. So before we get too further into closing out the show, I just do want to say, if you have any, not us, I'm gonna calling out to the people listening right now. What are your comments on going to Schedule 3? Obviously, most of us really want it to go further. Is Schedule 3 final countdown? Do you think the ATF will take it over if it does go further? Do you want it to be like tomatoes? Does your state have cottage law? Is one of those things. I think that your state should have cottage law, and personally, I think that Michigan needs to up our cottage law limit because inflation has gone up fucking 50% in the last 20 years since we've had cottage law. So that $25,000 limit should probably be a little closer to $50,000, I think. But anyways, those that don't have cottage law, fight for it. And back to the show. That was my commercial, guys.
lovely. It was good.
I think that if
More info.
operator, I think if a small operator can have like 150 plants and a caregiver can have 72 plants, I think that anybody that's allowed 12 plants should be allowed to whatever sell a little bit to their neighbors, just like they are bread. You know what I mean? because what you end up getting in that type of
Like a roadside stand, you're saying?
yeah, just
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. You follow under whatever guidelines that those. Look, as a cottage law operator, you're supposed to follow guidelines. You're supposed to wash your hands, even though there's no government entity looking over. You know what I mean? Your kitchen's supposed to be kept up. You know what I mean? You're supposed to not keep anything on the floor. Yeah, everything's got to be, you know,
You gotta, like, change the fryer oil every night or something like that. There's
FDA guidelines, man. Yeah, exactly. Everything's got to be 6 inches off the floor. You got to have a glove station, you know, or maybe not a glove station, but at least have to, you know, maintain proper sanitation. You should have a triple sink, and if you don't have a triple sink, have a method of creating 3 wash stations. You should have sanitization check strips, you know what I mean, or a way to check your bleach solutions and stuff. You should also have your red and green bleach and wash buckets on hand. All of your cutting boards should go through proper sanitation, and all this stuff that you do need under FDA and USDA regulations. Like if you were a grocery store or anything like that. And you could also compare that to say, oh, cannabis has all of these regulations also. So why not allow a small cannabis producer to be, you know, do the stuff off? Basically, this is in goodwill. You know, this is like, it's in good faith. Like the cottage law, the FDA or whatever governing body is expecting somebody to just in good faith be following good healthcare and hygiene and sanitization practices. I think that should be allowed. They're looking at cannabis because it's been Schedule 1 and there's been, I don't know what people found with cannabis and firearms in the same place or whatever. They're expecting all cannabis consumers to be criminals. The fact that they don't allow alcohol, for one, that used to be a bootlegging thing, you know what I mean? The fact that they don't allow tobacco, alcohol, or any of that stuff to be in that cottage law frame is kind of strange, because you can sell a lot of other things that act as a inebriant, you know what I mean? I'm not going to get into all the botanicals and get all of those flagged, you know what I mean? You know, put on blast, but there's tons of botanicals you can legally sell, and they get
I can bring up ergot. Come on, man.
molds and funguses, yeah, that just naturally fucking happen if you're just growing grain, you know what I mean? Yeah, ergot wine. I mean, nobody's stopping anybody from selling like ergot. I don't know if, I think that like a isolation of it, I think is illegal and scheduled. You know, I don't know about just the fermented mold. You know what I mean? Like there's so many holes, and I don't want to get into them all because I really don't want to get flagged or fucking, you know, droned or anything like that. So we'll just keep cruising on the ethical side of things, which is
okay,
for pleasure or for medical use.
Well, I was going to ask, you know, and this is related to the whole Schedule 3 thing, but for us, like as caregivers that maybe are interested in entering a license type situation, this Schedule 3 change really does change absolutely nothing for us, right?
No, it helps you because you're able to claim your fucking business expenses. Where
208E, yeah. So there's more write-offs. You can write off more of your expenses.
A little bit easier.
You're saying for commercial entities, those with licenses?
Yes.
280E? I don't know. I'm dyslexic.
280E, I think.
Yeah.
So it's going to help the dispos probably most of all.
I think it would actually help the growers, would it not? Because you can't.
The growers tend to have way less employees.
Yes, but it's the cost of goods sold that you can write off, and I think.
And it's the cost of a lot of the other stuff, like all the write-offs as far as like equipment that deteriorates, things like that.
No, I know, but I think the only thing you can write off right now is like basically what's under the.
Oh yeah, only what you can write off. Yeah.
So obviously, there's a lot that you should be able to include in that, and I do wonder if they'll allow some sort of backdating of that? Because like you're saying, the what is it called? It's not deterioration, but there's another word they use for it.
It's called depreciation.
Depreciation.
That's what I've been saying this whole time on why they wouldn't do the banking thing, because they're going to get backtracked with all of this millions of dollars of people that have been like using deteriorating equipment for the last 10 years.
Yeah. And so if they allow the write off,
They're not going to allow that. They're going to just
there's no way the IRS would allow them to jump in on that. You know,
That's what I'm saying, dude. This whole thing is probably never going to happen because that alone would fucking scramble some eggs, dude. You're talking multi millions. Look at some of these facilities,
dude. Billions. We're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars,
dude. This is what I've been saying for so many episodes, and now that's the whole aspect of it is coming out, because that's what I'm thinking is in business. Normal business, you're allowed to say, I bought this today, but I'm still going to write it off for the next 5 years because I'm going to be utilized. You're not depreciate, but you're also going to use it as your cost of goods for the next however until it depreciates. You know what I mean? Like if you buy a car, you know, you don't write off the entire amount of that truck that year. You write it off over the time that you use it, and you divide it up into the time. You know what
Red,
I mean?
I've got a conspiracy theory for you guys. I just thought of it while you're talking. What if they do allow that for the backdating of depreciation of assets because there's enough lobbying pressure? We'll just say it's that to make it happen. And you know, that's great for maybe us, because when we enter the market, then that's the possibility, right, of all our startup costs, which are the most expensive part of getting into this business. Yeah. But if you could write off the depreciation backdated, say maybe up to 10 years, which is, you know, for Michigan, it's pretty much the whole industry. Would that, I think they would want that at the federal level, because it would ultimately help those MSOs so much, and the people that have gobbled up all of the companies and all of the assets would be able to then write them off. And I think if that, it would be one of those things where they like lobbied for it, knowing that they would be taking advantage of it.
The government gets nothing out of that, so no, I don't see.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
So why would the government go for that? They're like,
because the politicians would be getting donations. That's what lobbying is. That's the only reason I can think of it.
Yeah,
no, but you still, there still has to be a win. It's not
the greater good, right? Like it would inevitably turn over in like the far future whenever it does, and then. But in the meantime, while they're in term, they get their pockets greased and little handies under the table or whatever they do down there. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's dirty politics either way you look at it. It's they're cutthroat for money. And right, like the big move, the whole schedule thing is nothing but allowing people to make money and repress groups of other people to not make money. And I think, like, okay, so I believe that cannabis should be given away. You should be allowed to be freely, you know, you should give cannabis away. If somebody wants to sell cannabis, you know what I mean, they should be allowed to sell some cannabis and make some money, just like we're allowed to sell lettuce or anything like that. Because what you end up seeing is when people have abundance, when they're allowed to have that abundance, you see a lot of giving. You know what I mean? Like we all are growers. We all see each other. We always give each other shit. We give each other stuff. We give oil in huge discounts and stuff like that to people that need it. We give all kinds of stuff away to the community and stuff like that. And we accept people's donations because it's what keeps the farm rolling. You know what I mean? For somebody to do something like this full time.
My flower's hanging right now, and I got hooked up with some donation of lemon dositos. Thank you, Red Setter Farm.
Oh yeah, cheers, guys, and I appreciate you guys for sharing.
Our flower is also hanging, and we have Red Setter Farms also. So, thank you.
And like I see that with the food industry. You know, you see that in farmers markets where, yeah, I mean, people are selling food at the farmers market. You should be giving your food away. A lot of times farmers do give their food away. It's the brokers and the big corporations that are going to lose big time because they put all of their bank into it. They don't. It's those that have the ethics and like moral value and stuff, and they give to food banks, and a lot of farmers, the shit left on the table. If you go hit people farmers markets at the very end, I'm sure that somebody would, give you shit because they don't want it. They're just going to throw it away. It's going to go bad. I'm not saying go hustle farmers. Donate to farmers.
Yeah, go hit up your pizza joint 5 minutes before they close, before you go hit up the farmer, maybe. But hey, I get it.
But you know what I mean? Like it's you're talking mostly people willing to give. That's a lot of times why people get into this is because it's generally not great money. It's more gratifying in other ways. You get to be with nature. Sometimes you're not really dealing with the public, and there's we all have our personal reasons for wanting to do with it. I just love handling plants, and harassing the pizza guy. So yeah, anyways, I think that cannabis, either way, I'm still going to continue to consume it. No, I mean, I've been consuming cannabis long before cannabis was legal in Michigan. I'll be consuming it long after it's legal in Michigan. And we'll be talking about it long.
I mean, I would have to be faced with some like medical illness that made me not smoke it or ingest it, or some ethical situation that got me so far twisted that I couldn't take. There's no way I'm not having cannabis in my life at this point.
Well, what's wild about cannabis and the difference between it and all those other substances is that we've got this like bond with cannabis to where cannabis like has the ability, and I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not anybody, but it has the ability to feed us, fuel us, and cure us of illness and disease. A lot of foods will do this. A lot of natural botany will do this for us. Cannabis somehow has all the botany wrapped into it. I think that there's way more to the connection between cannabis as a food and fuel source, like a fuel as an energy source for us humans, not necessarily a fuel source as in a heating source, because it is also that. But yeah, like a fuel energy source for us. It's a food source, you know what I mean? And many foods are energy sources for us.
There's so many portions of the plant that just, we all know, just working with it, plucking its leaves, harvest time. There's so much we get from this, so much mental health that we get from this plant. And honestly, that's where I am always coming back to, is there's a lot of mental health issues that people have. And I feel like if you could just take a little bit of time with this plant, raise up a plant, it helps. It's wonders just to take care of it, pluck its leaves, grow its flower, bring it down. That is therapy. All in
Gardening is therapy, 100%.
So much therapy. And it doesn't have to be cannabis. It could be vegetables. It could be flowers. Gardening is very much, I recently been watching these things on Netflix on these, it's called blue places in like Sardinia and stuff, blue nations or something.
Planet?
No, not that. It's like these areas in the world that, people live to be centenarians and that, and, 100 years old, and they just have a certain way of life, but they're gardening and they're every day out in the garden picking.
Is the word agrarian?
Yeah, squatting down, up and down, it's not even like they're exercising on it's every day what they're doing. They're up and down. There's 100-year-old ladies squatting in their plants. And
so the agrarian lifestyle is you live off the land, you live on the land, you live communally. It's you trade. It's very much it's labor intensive. You know what I mean? You use yourself. You know what I mean? You use your body, and in the end, I mean, you are the earth. And I'm not here to just sit around, to be honest. I mean,
no, me either. I mean, the more you get out there, the more you're able to do. I feel like sitting sedentary is just silly. Just get up off the damn couch, go do something, pluck a dandelion for fuck's sake.
Eat a dandelion. Yeah.
Yeah, eat one. Just
I have
get out.
so many dandelions to mow. Holy shiza.
Dude, I just mowed them and they're just so bad today. I'm
Make
like,
you some dandelion jam.
Ruben's running through them. I'm like, no, I gotta pick all those and put them in a bucket and go dispose them all properly.
Actually, the girls did a fun art project. My Mrs. Frugoli found it, and it was like basically take an old piece of cardboard and you draw a line on it, and then you poke holes through it, and you use the dandelions as its beard. You just shove them, the stems through. It was pretty cool. Unfortunately, they shrivel up pretty quickly once they're sitting there not attached to the ground. But I don't know, maybe we could spritz them or something. Put it on top of a Pyrex dish or something so they're still in water. There you go.
Or you can leave the dandelions and let the fucking bees have something to eat.
We got plenty of space for that, but there's a certain area where I am mowing the shit out of them, and it's driving me crazy because I need to mow.
You need to drop some limestone in that patch, man. You're low in calcium. That's why you're getting all those dandelions.
I can tell one area where it's really heavily compacted because there's tons of dandelions and it's my foot traffic path. But the dandelions in my no-till beds are fucking massive, dude. They're like,
oh my god, dude! I pulled some out of mine, and it's like I can't believe the roots on those motherfuckers.
Huge. 'Tis the season for those. Eat your dandelions, man. It'll fuck the system. You'll make yourself
coffee out of the roots. Supposedly, you dry out the roots and grind them down. You can make like a coffee out of it.
The biggest like middle finger to the system is to just grow your own food, medicine, and eat healthy and not have to use pharmaceuticals. It's the biggest one, dude.
You're unplugging. You just need to unplug all your tendencies.
Yeah. If you want to system, disconnect from it. You know what I mean? That's what got me to quit smoking cigarettes. Is I was like, I'm a hypocrite. I'm over here like wanting to be self-sufficient, reliant, and totally addicted to the RJ Reynolds products. You know what I mean? For lack of
CATFE.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, addicted to the governing body. You know what I mean? And it's like
it's a lot of taxes on them tobaccos too.
I want to be off, not necessarily off grid. I want to use the grid to my advantage. You know what I mean? But I also want to be self-reliant and sustainable in the same respect, and lower my own carbon footprint, and do that to myself so that I know, that I'm not a hypocrite when I'm upset with somebody else doing something. And I shouldn't be upset. I should be worried about this.
I saw a cool ass invention by Briggs & Stratton that they came out with a battery that you can stack up to 3 times, I think. But it's just you can have it take charge from if you had another power source like I don't know, like
outlet.
No. Like if you had like a wind turbine, or if you had a solar panel or something like that, and you just wanted to power up a battery, you could do that. But also they have it programmed where, like, if you have your power that's like peak, where they charge you peak hours, it'll charge the battery on unpeak times, and during the peak times, it just runs your house off the battery.
Oh, that's sweet. Oh yeah.
I was like, that is fucking awesome. I love that.
They just came out with a geothermal system for like forced air. So if you got property, you might be able to get a good geothermal going on your forced air. I just realized my battery is still running my greenhouse light, so my greenhouse is still illuminating my neighborhood. So I should go shut that off at 11 p.m. I'm sure my neighbors love that.
We speaking of living off the land and eating dandelions, I told Red and Becca today, I'm pretty sure I saw one of my hens this morning come out and start eating the seeds, like of the white dandelions, just shoving its face in there and grabbing. I'm like, maybe it was bugs, but
I tried. I tossed them a couple puffballs before I dumped the whole half gallon.
I almost did today. I was gonna try, but I'm like, these aren't my chickens. I'm feeding them something I shouldn't be or something.
It's like, I don't want this. And they just went right at the ground. I was like,
but also, I didn't get a chance to show this on this show enough, so I'm gonna do this now. I finally got these back. And I showed it on the other podcast, but
Oh, nice. Both of them. Oh, wow.
Oh, those look nice too, man. That's
Which one was on your property?
the bigger one, I believe. So this one.
Nice. Jeez, dude.
Wow.
You look
That's
good.
that'll be a pretty cool double hat rack, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Not sure where I'm gonna put them yet, but I thought it was fun.
Yeah, but that's cool the way that you have them deconstructed like that without the fur and all that kind of stuff. It's just, the skeleton, the I like that.
I
That's
agree. I like that too. That's a nice.
I think it's called a European mount.
Oh, okay.
cool.
Yeah, that makes sense to anybody. But hey, that's the show for tonight, guys. And I think we'll see you next week, right? Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
Here's go shut your greenhouse lights off.